Hello and welcome to this Boris Continuum tutorial in which we're looking at saving some animated presets inside of DaVinci Resolve. Now sometimes some of the animation that we do isn't saved when you save a preset inside of DaVinci Resolve at the moment. Some are and some aren't. So I want to show you how you can save something if it's not covered by the presets and reuse it later on in your timeline and actually across projects, depending on how you work. So I'm going to use the type on text effect just to show how this works. However, I'm not going to go in depth through the use of type on text inside of DaVinci Resolve for this tutorial. This tutorial is about animating and saving that so that you can reuse it later on. Okay, so I've got this piece of footage from artbeats.com, which is the place to go really when it comes to getting your stock footage, and I've got a man that's insane. So he's standing on the edge of a platform, and then after a few moments he's going to leap off the platform into the abyss. Okay, something I'm not really keen on doing myself, but I'm sure some of you guys actually do. So I might want to put on a nice extruded text that says insanity, and I might want it to come on in an interesting way. Now to do that I want to use one of the Boris effects. Now the first thing to say is you don't apply that here. On the edit page it's all about transitions, so if I go to my effects here, you'll see that under BCC, searching BCC, they're all transitions. So you're not going to do anything like applying extruded text at this point. You might be able to do an extruded image shatter and sorts of very clever effects or transitions, but you're not going to do the advanced effects. The advanced effects, such as extruded text and everything, are going to be done in the color page. But I've got to have some place to put them, can't put them on the clip. I could hold the Alt key and drag the clip up to duplicate it. However, the simplest way for me is to go to the toolbox and get rid of 8BCC, go down and choose one of the generators. And I'm going to start off with a solid color, which I'm just going to stick up here on video layer 2. That won't initially show in the color page, as you know. So what I need to do is just right click on it, make it a new compound clip, call it BCC type on text, and I'm going to click create. And then when I go to the color page, you'll see that here it is. Notice, by the way, video 2 is before video 1 in this instance. So it's on video track 2. So make sure you've got the right one, the one that's on video track 2, not the one on video track 1, or else you'll end up writing over what you don't want to write over. So here it is, video track 2, and that's the one where I want to apply the Boris effect. But just to show you a couple of things, I want to reset my workspace a bit to give myself a bit more room. I don't really need to see the track timeline, so I'm just going to get rid of that bit. I'm going to shut down my gallery windows, and I'm going to make sure this moves across and to about there, and I'm going to right click and make sure that we're zoomed to fit, and I'm going to move my keyframe panel so that I can see it in full, because we're not actually doing any color work here, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm zoomed into full so I can see the whole thing, so the whole clip. Okay, so we're fully selected. Then I can go down to the FX badge down here, and that opens up my FX, and I've got BCC selected, so I'm just seeing my BCC effects. The effect that I want, type on text, I can drag across to my node. However, it's worth saying that it's one effect per node. So if you want multiple OFX, there have to be one per node. So I'm going to do type on text onto an empty node, give it a moment, and up comes the settings. Now I can launch the text window and I can go straight for insanity. Oops. Okay, and I'm not going to go through all the text settings, but let's just go with that standard setting and click apply. And that drops insanity into my window. However, if I were to drag my current time indicator, my playhead through to a couple of seconds, I should, at this stage, be able to see the video underneath, that Artbeats video, but I can't. So how do I reveal that? Well, I need to create an alpha output for this node. Really need to be able to see, for this clip actually, I need to see the alpha, I need to be able to see through this black. So to do that, you go to your node editor, right click, add alpha output, and take the alpha output of the node down to the alpha output for the clip. And then that's still not working, because at the moment it's not looking at the effect alpha, it's looking at the node alpha, which would be, you know, if you'd done a power window or something, it would see that, but it's not looking at the effect. So to see the effect, you right click and then you choose use OFX output, And then when you do that, you actually see the whole thing come through. Now my first few frames are black anyway because I've got a fade from black. So that's why it's black at the beginning. But now that we've set it up properly, we can actually see the look. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of stuff with the effect. As I say, that can be done on a different tutorial. What I will say is that there are presets, and we'll come back to this in a while, and you can do spin-ins and spin-offs and all sorts. And sometimes they're perfect. They do exactly what you want. Great. But sometimes you want to create something a little bit more custom, a little bit more special that you can use yourself. And some things will save and load as presets, but other things won't. So I just want to run through that with you. So I'm not going to choose an animation preset. However, I am going to choose an extrusion style. In other words, what this looks like. And I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and choose this one that says wood, sanded and varnished. And I'm going to just reduce that bevel amount a bit. Get a nice, slightly nicer look. And pretty much leave it at that. One of the little idiosyncrasies at the moment of Boris inside of Resolve is that when you click the show and hide arrow, this disclosure triangle, nothing happens. And you'll notice you've got close and open items over here. So this is where you do the close and open. And at the moment, I'm pretty much going to shut down all of these. One thing to say about the material that's on here, notice at the moment it's selected same on all sides. So on the front is what's going to go on every side. You can change it to a different material every side. Just worth pointing that out. Again, I'm going to shut down the front material. I'm not going to play with any of this at the moment. Shut down side, shut down the back, or the bevel and then the back. And then I come down to transform effects, and I come down to the type on effects. Now, this is the difference. If you've got to do an animation, so transformative animation, then that isn't going to save as a preset. However, if you're using a type on preset and you do your own custom type on or type off preset, that will save as a preset that you can use later on. So let's start off with how you can do your own custom type on. You have to reveal the effect by clicking this checkbox here. And then the first item here is saying how long in the generated media's length is it going to take before the actual type on has happened. So you'll see it's at 50%. So that means this is a 5-second clip. It's a generated clip. That's by default. I've set my system to 5 seconds. So at 2.5 seconds, it will have revealed. However, if I take it down to 30% or whatever, that's kind of a few seconds, a couple of seconds maybe. Can't work out the math in my head, but about 2 seconds or so at 30%. So at 30% of 5 seconds, it will show. And then you've got all the various options here that you can then change. But the animation's already set up. As soon as you change one of these options below, that's when the animation takes place. Okay, and you can do it from the beginning. So I can take this to the beginning of my timeline. And I'm just going to do the simplest of all, really. I'm going to do a master scale. So at 30% of my timeline, so 30% of my 5 seconds, scale is going to be at 100%. But if I drag it at the beginning down to 0, you'll see it disappears. And when I click play, bear in mind it's rendering through as it does this, up it comes and does a type on reveal. Okay, and I can do an opacity fade or whatever I want after that. So I'm just going to stop it at that point. That'll have rendered through, so it'll play a little bit quicker. There you go, insanity. If I wanted it to be a bit slower, I could have done the reveal time a bit slower. Right, you might say that's perfect, that's everything I want, in which case you can go all the way back up to the top. When you go up to the top, presets. You go down, you can save the preset. So I can call this example. Okay, and I can click save. And that's now saved my example. So how do I reuse that? Well, it's as simple as this. If I go back to my edit page, and I'm going to take another generator and I'm going to stick it over here. Again, I'm going to right click, make a new compound clip out of it, call it example, type on, and create. And then go back to my color page. There it is selected. I'm going to again take BCC type on text, drop it onto the clip, wait for it to all come up. There's no point going down to the presets, by the way. Well, example's there, but if I do example and I wait, nothing happens. Okay, so it's not going to add anything in instantly there. But you go back to your launch window, and I'm going to do something else. So BCC type on text, and I'm going to make the whole thing a bit smaller this time. So I'm going to click the smaller button, and I'm going to apply that. Okay, and now when I play through, you'll see that BCC type on text has animated. So I've been able to save that animation without any problems. Great, I hear you say. That's done that one. What about if I were to play with transforms? Okay, so I'm going to go back on this particular example now, and I'm going to go back to reset to default. Okay, and having reset it to default, let's take it back to that wood and take it back to a slightly smaller extrusion, etc, etc. Okay, so there we go. We've got BCC type on text now. But this time I want to do something different. I want to play with the transformations. Now the transformations actually need to be animated. These aren't things that you can just change and something will happen. Okay, so to animate these, I'm going to go to the beginning of my timeline again. By the way, it's all reset, so this particular one, if I wanted to see everything underneath, I would also need to go in and show add alpha outputs and make sure that that goes down there, and also make sure that the alpha output's being used. Okay, so if I want to show anything underneath, I still need to go through that process, by the way. So if I want to animate the transforms, how can I do it? Well, I'm in my keyframe panel down here. I'm going to go all, and I'm going to go down to color, because I'm in the color page, which allows me to select the node that I'm working in. And when you open up the node, you'll see that towards the bottom you've actually got OFX. And that's the effect that you're working on. So if I take OFX, go to the beginning of the timeline like this, and I'm going to click the auto keyframe function here, and you'll see that at the moment nothing's happened. To sort of make it work and create your first keyframe, you just wiggle anything. So if I just wiggle rotation, first you'll see that this has gone yellow. I can reset rotation, by the way, by just double clicking it, and you'll see that I've got a keyframe. Then I can go forward to 1 second, which is just here, and I can change anything, and it is always going to remember the keyframe for everything that I change from this point onwards. So if I change rotation and I go to 360, you'll see that animation has been created. So if I go back between the two and push play, you're seeing it's doing an animation 360. To get between these keyframes, by the way, it's open and close square brackets. So open square brackets is first keyframe, close square brackets is the second keyframe. But I can add to this. So for example, I can do rotate. I can select that and do 360 on the Y. And now when I go open square brackets and then L to play, you'll see that I'm getting quite an interesting look. Okay, going to make sure, again, close square brackets, I'm on that second keyframe. And actual fact, I'm going to go to the beginning and I'm going to make this a reveal. So if I go to scale, master scale, and take master scale down to 0 at the beginning, then when I play through, hit the spacebar this time, you'll see that it's actually quite a complex reveal. Okay, great. Now, I might have done a lot of work on this and say that this is exactly what I want to do. How do I reuse this? First thing to try is to go to the top and say preset. So I'm going to go no preset, and I'm going to go to save preset, and I'm going to call this transforms animation. Okay, and I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to add yet another piece of media. So go back to my edit page and add something else at the end. So let's do that one, right click on that one, turn it into compound clip. You know what we're doing. Go back to the color page. Here it is, and I'm going to add BCC type on text. Wait for it to come up. Go open the text launch window and call this example next and apply. There's example next again. I'm going to go to the preset and I'm going to go down and I'm going to find the one that I created, which at the moment hasn't come up. Right, well, I can't see it. So how do I find it? Well, I'm going to go to load this time, and I'm going to go and find that one that I created, which was transforms animation. So take transforms animation and click open. And it certainly made the text look nice, but there's clearly no animation on there, which can be very frustrating. So how do I reuse this? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is just right click and I'm going to reset grades on that node. So there's nothing on that node. It's ready to go. It's as simple as this. If I select the previous node, which has actually got something on it, okay, this is the one with the animation, it's actually, believe it or not, as simple as copy and paste. So if I select this node and I go edit copy or Command or Control C, and then I go to the node I want it to be on, and I make sure that's selected, and I do edit paste, Command or Control V, you'll find that the animation takes place. Okay, the whole thing is actually there, and it's done with a copy and paste. And not only that, you can actually do this between timelines. Now, I don't know if I've got more than that. I've only got one timeline. So if I go back to my edit page, and I were to take this particular Art Beats movie as well, and I was to create a timeline from that clip, and timeline 2 is fine. So it's a different timeline. So again, Art Beats clip, beautiful. I might want to call this Thirst or something, is what it's going to be. Again, I still need to go through the process of creating that compound clip that I'm going to be putting this on, and then I can go back to color, and I'm ready to apply it. But I suddenly turn around and say, but you know what, I wanted it from the other timeline, so I can go to the other timeline, and I can go and find the node with whatever it is on it, which you can see is here. Again, edit copy, edit paste, Command or Control C, Command or Control V. Go back to my new timeline, the second timeline I've got, make sure I'm selecting the appropriate thing, Command or Control V, and once again you've got the whole animation. However, on this particular example, you'll see that I can't see the item underneath, so I do need to go back, right click, add alpha output, make sure that the alpha output is connected. And actually you'll see that already it's using the OFX alpha. You can see that from the grey, so instantly it'll show and you can go through. Now, not only does this work between timelines, it actually works between projects. So if I just do very quickly, I do a file save, and I go back to my home screen, and I were to create another project here. So here's another example I've got, and I was to open up that project, and let's see what I've got in this project. I don't even know at the moment. So what have I got? Oh, I've just got the same sort of thing here. There's that Art Beats clip. And I decide I want to put this on here. So again, I can take any generator I like and exactly the same process. New compound clip, etc. And suddenly turn around and say, do you know what? I really need that animation that I had in the previous one. Well, I can save this project, file save, and I can go back to my previous project. Bear in mind they're all on the same database. So the start here project, open that one up and go and find one of the nodes with this animation on that I want. So this is one of the ones with the animation that I want. Okay, so again, select edit copy, Control C, and then I can actually go back to my example 2. Again, find the node that I'm working on, Command V. This is between projects, bear in mind. And again, the only thing I need to do, right click, add alpha output, and you can see from the grey that it's already using the alpha output for the OFX, and you can see that everything's working perfectly. Okay, so as long as it's on the same database, okay, so when you set it up, you set up a database. As long as the projects are on the same database, you can actually create a project and save the presets that you like to an example project. So you could have a whole bunch of different clips in there that has got this particular animation, that particular animation, and start to save them and create your own library. Save that project, and then you can actually copy and paste across. And the way to get those animations is to copy and paste, whereas to do something that's directly type on is actually simply to save a preset. So I hope you found this useful, and it shows you that you've got a little bit more scope than perhaps you might initially at first think. My name's Andrew Davies, and thank you very much for watching.